Hi guys, welcome back. My name's Ian. This is a bonus video as part of the step-by-step GDPR compliance for small business. Now, the best practices secure area workspace is part of my training video. The bottom line in this video is that there's no specific operating system that you'll need other than the fact that it needs to be a Windows operating system, and we're going to set up our secure workspace using Microsoft OneDrive. It's really straightforward, and let's get into it. So you can see here that I've got a Windows 7 computer and I've already installed OneDrive. It's very easy to do. Just simply follow the instructions, visiting onedrive.live.com, and that's where it'll all start. Microsoft offer a variety of different plans. The one I'm demonstrating for you today as part of the best practices secure area workspace is the OneDrive Basic 5 GB, which everybody can have, and it's totally free of charge. You can set up a email address, it'll synchronize with your computer and do all those things that you need it to do. When you first install it, it'll start off with a really basic configuration, which actually looks something like this. Just for the purposes of this exercise, I'm going to just get rid of these ones because I don't really want them, and they're only going to consume our space. Now remember, we've only got 5 GB, so we need to think about it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set this all up according to the best practices secure area workspace document, and when I finish doing that I'll come back and I'll show you. So let's take a look, and you can see here it starts with our data privacy secure workspace area root folder, and then inside that we've got 2 other folders. One of them is our commercial area, and we keep in here our agreements, our collection statements, our data privacy impact assessment or DPIA register, our data subject requests, our policy documents, processing register. And you'll notice that I've actually included documents in these folders. And the reason that I've done that is because these are all the resources that are part of the training material. So rather than you having to go through and configure it all and set it all up, I've included an additional zip file which actually has this structure already set up with all of the free resources included, all in their right spot. So the second part of the folder structure is our project area, and we have our project archives, which is where we're going to move our completed projects. Once we've zipped them up, we're going to move them into this folder, and they will then become our reference. And we've also got our project template here that we can use, and in that we have collection statements that we're going to use to generate for our project, our controller written instructions folder. If we're acting as a processor, we're going to need to use this to record all of our controllers written instructions. We've got our project scope and statement of work folder, and we've got our shared client area and our shared processor area. For all intents and purposes, our shared client area could also be our controller area. And the reason why we've separated these 2 locations, these 2 folders, is because within our OneDrive model, we will want to share our client or controller area with our controller. And the reason why we're doing that is because as a processor, when we get the work from the controller and we do the processing as per the written instructions, we then need to get that work back to the controller, and we're going to use this secure area so they can come and collect the work from us. If we actually use the processing area, it might be, if we look back to our example where we were writing resumes in one of the videos, and we had to then go off and create a translated version of that resume. This would be where the area that we would put our original resume, and we would make it available to the processor who was going to do the translation. and they would work in this secure area, and when they'd finished they would leave their document in this secure area for us to give back to our original client. So these are actually the two parts of the project that we're going to be sharing. So if we go back to our template, what you'll notice straight away, because this is a stock standard Windows environment, what we can actually do is we can copy this and we can paste it. That means that we can change the name on it, and we're going to have a new project template already set up each time we start a new project. So let's call this project Writing Resumes for Jane, who was our client. Now we've got our project folder all set up now, and it's got everything we need in it. We can work our way through the collection statement and generate a unique collection statement for Jane. We've got a place for our controller's written instructions, which don't apply in this instance because we're both the controller and the processor. So in actual fact, our project scope and our statement of work, which is what Jane has bought from us in having her resume written, that's the instructions that we're looking at using to fulfill the obligation for the project. Now we have our shared client area, which we're going to need to share with Jane, and we don't need our processor area. One of the things that we do need, in fact, one of the things that we do need in our template is we actually need a secure work area. So let's just create one of those. Let's just call it the work area. Okay, so we've now got our work area, and we can just copy that one and put it into, so we've got it in our template. We need to put it into our Jane Writing Resumes for Jane folder as well, project folder. The important part here is that we now need to share our client area with Jane, and if we had a processor, which we will get to later as part of our second part of the project, which is where we translate the document, we're going to share that with the organization or the person that is going to be our processor. What's really important in this is that if we go back to our commercial area here, you'll see that we've got agreements and contracts, and there's some help information on how to go about writing our agreements and what they need to look like and what we need to include. But most importantly in all of this is the fact that these are templates. So as a processor, this is the agreement that we will need to create for our processor, who's going to be the person that does our translation. And we start off by just simply opening it up, and you'll see that it's a comprehensive legal agreement, and it certainly needs to be, because we need to make sure that all of our processes and all of the controllers that we work with are data privacy compliant as well. And the things that they have to attest to in here are the fact that they are GDPR compliant, they understand what personal data is and all those things. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an agreement between ourselves, which is the resume writers, resume writing business, and we're then going to write the agreement between ourselves, and it's actually going to be the translator service. So the translator, and they have a company number, which is whatever it happens to be. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1. And the date of this agreement is going to be whatever the date is. Let's just call it the 25th of May 2018, so that's GDPR Day. And then we just simply scroll through. So we can push the tab key, and that will take us to the next field. We're in the United Kingdom, so we might as well make that our location, and our business is the resume writing business, and the supplying company is the translating business. And then we could go ahead and sign all of that and print it out and do all those things. Importantly, we need to identify what the categories of data are. It's going to be Jane's resume. We need to identify what the categories of data subject are. They're going to probably be something like individual or user or customer. And then we need to provide some processing operation. What are we asking the translator to do? Well, it's going to be to translate the resume. We need to identify the location of the translator. If the translator is going to do the job themselves, that's great. We don't have any subcontractors. If they're not going to do the job themselves, then they need to provide us with the details of the people that are going to be doing the translations, and we need to put them in here. We also need to make sure, as the controller, that we're telling Jane who is going to be processing her data, her personal data, before we give it to them. So Jane gets first say. What's the purpose of the personal data processing? It's to translate from whatever language to whatever language Jane has asked us to do that translation from and to, and the duration, which of course is whatever the duration is for the actual use of the processing, which in this case we have a 7-day turnaround according to our agreement, according to our service, so we have a 7-day duration. Once we've completed all of this, we can go ahead and save it, and we can actually save it in the structure. So we can go ahead and save it in here, and we'll save it to our project, I think. So we're going to go to our project, resume for Jane. Let's save it in this area here, and it's going to be called DPA agreement for translator. So that's done, and that's great, and we can print that out and we can send it off to them, and we can do all sorts of stuff. What we can do, of course, is we can actually take that agreement and we can pop it in the project space for Jane for the processor, which would be here. So what we can do, if you like, is we can take that agreement and we can copy it and we can pop it into the processor area, which we're going to share with the processor a bit later on. So that's all done. We've got our agreements in place. Jane's happy. We're ready to go. We've got our new project space all set up. Here it is here. What we need to do now is we need to make our space available for Jane as the client so that she can share our documents with us. And what we're going to need from her, of course, originally is her resume, her original resume, and then we're going to move that from the client area into the work area. We're going to do the work on it to produce that fantastic resume, and then we're going to put it back in the client area for Jane's approval, and when she's approved it, she can download it and has access to it, and that then finishes off our project. We can then go ahead and compress this up, and then we can move it into our archive area, which of course is just here. Now, what we've also done is I've included some retention schedules for you. This is all part of the training material. It's all covered in the training material. So you see that we've got some basic retention schedules here, and it's all very nice and neat. And let's go and have a look at sharing that space with somebody that's outside of the organization. So to do that, we go to our browser, and in my case it's going to log in automatically. I'm visiting www.office.com, and this gives me access to all my online applications as well as my OneDrive. So to start off the OneDrive, just click the OneDrive icon, and you can see here that we've got a good representation of what our drive looked like on our local machine. Here it is here, and here's our web-based version. So to share something with our clients, we simply go to the project that we want to share from. These are our two areas that we're going to share, and to share them, we just simply click the ellipsis followed by share, and then we can send an email so that we can share those. Now I'm going to share them with my little Gmail account. And so we just enter the email address here and just go ahead and share it. You'll see here it tells me that it's been shared, and the icon here has changed from private to shared. So we've gone to our Gmail account. You can see the email here is waiting for us, so we can click on that and that will open up the email, and then we click on the link and that will take us to the OneDrive that we as the client are sharing in this instance. Now there's a bit of a disadvantage that we have with this free version, and that is that the end user can't upload any files. If they try to, they simply get taken off to the login for OneDrive, and the reason why is because it's a free, this is the free account. With the personal versions and the free versions of OneDrive, it's file sharing, which means that we can share stuff with other people, but they need to set up a facility to share stuff with us. This isn't necessarily a problem, because with most of the crowd worker platforms, part of the initiation of the project is for the customer to send us whatever it is they want us to work on. So you might find that if you're doing something with Fiverr or SEO Clerks or whoever it is, that they will give you the document that they want you to rewrite as the resume service or whatever. And that means that when we go ahead and we add that document to our OneDrive, which we can actually do right here, so we can go ahead and upload things as the owner of this space, and we simply do that by clicking the upload button. And what we're going to be doing is everything that we put into this space now, because we've shared this folder with other people, everything we put in here is going to come up as shared. So there's no issue with that, but we need to make sure that we're only making available the personal data of the people that know who we're sharing it with. So if we go back to our drive, our OneDrive is Jane. We've just uploaded that document and she should see it, and here it is. Now this isn't necessarily a bad thing that it's really designed as a share facility, because Jane can still edit this document, and if she edits it online, then that means that it'll save it online as well. If that ends up being the case, then this does become a two-way communication facility. So we can edit the document in the browser, and let's just see if that saves that. So it's saving it now. So if we go back to the shared area, what we should have is an updated document, and you can see that we do. So if we come back to here as ourselves, as the service provider or the resume writer, if we open that up, we can see that we've actually got an edit. So it's not the end of the world the way that the free version of OneDrive handles documents. We can still share in a safe and secure manner. If we don't want to share a particular document with the people or person that we're actually sharing the folder with, we can simply turn off or manage shares. So here we might turn around and say that we want to stop sharing, and if we say we're going to stop sharing, then we're actually only changing this one item, and that works out to be really good. So what it means is that if Jane now goes to this item, she should get an access denied. So you can see here that it's saying, well, you need to log in because we don't understand who you are. So when we go back to Jane's space, we can actually see that that document doesn't even exist anymore, which is terrific. So how do we make this a two-way street if we want to be more professional in our approach? Well, the simple way to do that is that we actually need a OneDrive for Business account. And when we have that, we'll be able to share with our clients, and they'll be able to upload things, and it'll be a two-way communication. So let's just take a look at that quickly. So here I've got a OneDrive for Business account. So to share this folder with Jane, we just simply click on the sharing, we go to grant access, then we just simply enter the name, or the email address rather. And of course we're letting Jane edit this, so that's great. It says here immediately that this person is outside of our organisation, so we know that we're actually sharing with someone outside. So we're going to share everything in this folder, and we want to send an email invitation. So that's now done. This should update to shared, and it has. So what we can do here is, if we go back to our email account, we should find that we've got a new email. Here it is here, and this person is sharing shared client area with us. So if we go to that, now remember that we're using business here. Sometimes when we first start up using OneDrive as a external user, we need to verify some of the details, and this is just a little security thing. So it'll ask us for our email address, but it'll also ask us for a verification code, and here it is here. So if we go back to our Gmail account, here is our verification code. So we can just simply cut and paste that into here and verify. It's as simple as that. But now we've got full access to this space. So what we can do as the end user or the client is that we can actually upload documents to this area, and you can see there that it's uploaded it without any problem. Now it tells me as the person uploading that this is shared because it's shared with the people that own the facility, in this case the resume writer. So if we go back to if we have a look in our client area, we should see that we've got one document, and here it is. Very simple, very easy to do. If we decide that we don't want to share this folder or this document with specific people, let's turn off the folder in this instance. We just simply nominate the folder that we're talking about, click on shared, and then we can do things like remove the link. And if we remove the link, that'll stop sharing with basically everybody, because they can only share on that link. And you can see here that there are no other permissions. So that's now taken care of. Let's just say that we've finished the project and we want to archive this out. The first thing we need to do is we need to stop sharing it. So if we stop sharing it, the idea there is that it becomes secure. And once it becomes secure, it means that we can then archive it off. So let's just take a quick look. We've changed the permissions on this so that there's nobody except the owner of it can access it. And let's have a look at let's just do a quick refresh of this. So what you can see has happened here is that this space has now been removed from this user, and there's nothing usable here for them. They can't do anything, and that effectively has removed them. So we've still maintained control over our space, but of course from our perspective this space is still valid. It still has everything we need in it, like the original working documents and those kinds of things. If we go to the Windows Explorer view of our space, what we can actually do here is we can do things like we can now prepare this for archiving. And the way we would do that is we simply need to have an archiving tool. In this case we've got pkzip, so we're just going to zip that one up, and then we're going to move it into our archive, and then we're going to delete the original. And that means that we've now got an archive of our Jane work that we did. It's in a secure area because the project area is not shared, or only the project spaces within the project area are shared. So that's actually how we go about doing that. And that's now done. So this site in itself should actually now be retired because it doesn't exist anymore, and you can see here that it's been removed. If we go to our top level folder and we go into projects, you'll see that we've got just our base template, and if we have a look in our archive, we've now got our archived version of that folder, and there it is. That basically concludes the use of secure area workspaces using OneDrive. It's pretty much the same with Google Docs. There's a few little differences, but it's nothing significant. Anyway, I hope this has been a great video for you. I hope you've learnt a lot. If you haven't done the video training material, you'll find it on Udemy under step-by-step GDPR for small business, and there's a Windows 7 version, a Windows 8.1 version, a Windows 10 version, inside the EU, outside the EU. There's loads of stuff to get you started with your GDPR for small business. I'm Ian, thanks very much for watching, and bye for now.